Good afternoon. Happy Friday afternoon. For those of you who are in Brisbane, it's just on 4 o'clock and you've probably just, like I've done, finished picking up your kids and gotten them some afternoon tea. And I've now just put Chickpea, who's the only one at home, in front of a screen while I talk about books. Oh, the irony. The elder one this afternoon is at a friend's house making a banner for this. Yeah, I know a lot about sport. Our swimming carnival. We have our swimming carnival next Tuesday, and she is a house captain, which blows my mind a little bit. Anyway, she got the position of house captain this week, and okay, so it doesn't have to go just to the Sporty Kids, does it? So it's great. Her and 3 other girls are the Barrett house captains. Anyway, so they're making their Barrett Parrot banner this afternoon. Right, I have got 5 books to talk to you about this afternoon, which are 5 that I've been really enjoying reading this week. I actually don't know where to start this week. I'll start maybe with the perhaps youngest one. The first series I want to talk about is the Sporty Kids series by Felice Arena. Now, we have had Felice at our school on several occasions, and at previous schools I've worked at, I've always had him as an author visit as well. So if you are based in Australia, I'm not sure where he's based, Sydney or Melbourne, I'm thinking, he is one of the best author visits you will ever have in your school. I love all of his books. I love his Fearless Frederick series, and these are probably, these are probably my, no, these aren't my favourite. I probably like Fearless Frederick the best, but it's a bit hard to compare a sporting book for 5 and 6 year olds with Fearless Frederick, which is about war. Anyway, this series that I'm going to talk about this afternoon is called Sporty Kids, and it's a fantastic series for little people who are just starting on their independent reading journey. So this is right at the very beginning. They are absolutely fantastic. I think there's about 8 in the series, and each one focuses on a different sport. There's footy, swimming, soccer, tennis, basketball, handball, there's little athletics, there's a whole range of them. There might be more than 8. I only had 2 available in my library this afternoon to show you because they're always out. These are just so popular. My preps and year 1s and year 2s just go through these at a great rate, and they reread them. I think some of the things that they like about them are that the stories are really engaging, and they're about sports, which are fairly mainstream sports and ones which most of them are aware of and really like. And they're a little bit different to your usual early reader in that they're not too focused on interpersonal relationships and dramas within those. They're based around a sport. So each one has got a story, and it's a fully fleshed out narrative with usually a bit of a problem and a solution, so kids can get into it and feel like they've achieved something and really read a whole story. But then at the end, each of the characters is explored a little bit more. And then there's also usually, I think always, there's jokes. There is also some facts about particular sport, and there is then some tips. So in this one on Little Athletics, there's tips on how to throw a shot. What's a shot? Oh, a shot put. I'm the librarian. Anyway, these are incredibly popular at my school library, and they are just fantastic. I highly recommend them for really little people starting their independent reading journey. I'm just going to point out something as well. Always find this as a librarian so tricky to know. Where do the barcodes go as to not cover the title or the author, and where do the spine labels go? I just noticed on this one, the Little Athletics, the LI is covered by the spine label. If there's any other librarians out there watching this, you'll understand my pain. It's always distressing for me when I realise that a spine label is going to, or a barcode is going to obscure some of the title or the author. First world problem. All right, my second series I want to talk about probably follows on from Sporty Kids. These ones are a little bit older. These ones are for kids that have really become quite proficient readers. Oh my gosh, I never know which way to hold the books on this Facebook Live because I've had to turn my screen around. These ones are Amelia Camellia, and they're brand new, and they're by Laura Seaver-King, and the illustrations are by Alyssa Bermudez. They are so good. I actually heard about these books last Friday, I think it was. I was listening to, and I've written it down, episode 267 of one of my favourite podcast, which is So You Want to Be a Writer, with Alison Tate and Valerie Khoo. And Alison Tate was last week interviewing Laura Sieverking as her author in residence or writer in residence, and she was talking about this series, which is a new series just out. There's 2 at the moment, there's going to be 4 in total, and they just sounded right up my alley and perfect for my school library. They're about a little girl called Amelia, and when she experiences really big feelings or big emotions, she blends into her background, I guess like a chameleon. And it's sort of her superpower. And what I thought was really clever about this idea was that when you talk to kids about, you know, what would be one thing they wish they could do, it's often to either fly or to disappear. And so I thought this was a clever idea to take a real world context and a realistic fiction book and add that element of magic in. They're a really lovely little series. I've read these first 2, Amelia Camellia and the Birthday Party, and Amelia Camellia and the Gelato Surprise. And there's 2 more coming out quite soon. There's about 7,000 words in each. So they're about at the stage of maybe like a Lulu Bell. I learnt on the podcast about Laura Sieverking that she is the editor of Ella and Olivia, which are incredibly popular in my library. I cannot have enough of Ella and Olivia. And they are less words than these, so these are a step up. So if you've got, and I know a lot of kids get stuck on Ella and Olivia. I just had a mum in the library the other day actually saying, we really need some help moving so and so on from Ella and Olivia. I think this is a series to go on to after you've read that. They're absolutely gorgeous. I really like them. In this first one here, she's learning Italian at school and there's a gelato day. It's just gorgeous. The illustrations are really good. They're nice, simple line drawings, but I always love illustrations in a chapter book of this level because it helps the reader to, you know, keep engaged. It helps them move along. This is quite, you know, there's a fair bit of text in these books, 7,000 words. That's a fair amount for a little independent reader. So the illustrations really help to keep interest high, and I really like that about them. Okay, my next book I want to talk about is one that I absolutely love. This one is called My Incredible Netball Journey, and as you've just discovered in the last 5 or so minutes, I am not sporty at all. I am very dear friends with the PE teacher at work, and very early on she told me that the girls would need to play netball, particularly my elder daughter, who isn't such a team player. You know, she would really just like to run the show. So Mama J, as we call her at school, was pretty insistent that Woodster was going to play a team sport. She thought it would be good for her. Dan was also, he really liked netball, so he was quite keen on netball or soccer, and with Mama J as a family friend and a colleague, there was no question my girls were playing netball. Mama J coaches, I don't know, at a reasonably high level in Queensland. Nah, I'd be guessing. Anyway, she coaches at a reasonably high level in Queensland. Nah, don't know what it is. And so I really feel like we've been dragged along to quite a few netball games. Fusion? Firebirds are the Australian team. Anyway, I don't know much about netball. I'm trying. We've been to quite a few games. I've tried to show a real interest, and my girls were dragged reasonably kicking and screaming along to their first season of netball, but we are now 3, or this might be Woodster's 4th season of netball now, and she actually, if she didn't get house captain at school, she wanted to be the netball captain. So I think Dan would be so proud of her if he was here. He would just be like, I told you so, Megan. If you know, persist with something for long enough, she's built up skills over the years, and now she quite enjoys it. But I have to say, those first 2 seasons of netball were like pulling teeth. Neither of the girls particularly enjoyed it. It's been a long journey. Anyway, I wish I had had this book right back at the beginning. This is a journal that you work through with your kids, or your kids work through by themselves. So you can see that Chickpea, my younger daughter, has started filling out this one. This is hers. The girls have got one each. And it's fantastic. Now, some of you may have seen my blog post about Firebirds of the Queensland team. Thank you, Petra. I don't know. Who is Fusion? They might be the younger team, the younger feeder team to the Firebirds. I sound so important now. Sound like I really know what I'm talking about. If any of you saw my blog post about our holiday to Bali, you'll know that I had this absolutely brilliant travel journal for kids, which was, it was just, I think it made the holiday actually. Both kids absolutely loved it. It amused them every afternoon while I was having a nap or a cocktail. And it was written by Eliza McCain, and also this series. And then I found this series when I came back. It's by Sue Cox and Eliza McCain, and the illustrations are by John Davis, who's done the illustrations in the Ginger Green Playdate Queen series. You work through this journal by yourself, and it's got all about me at the start, and then some pre-season work, getting down to business, game day, where you can put the scores from each game and the position that you played, and then it's got an end of season wrap up, and it's just got really lots of fun stuff to do. So Chickpea had to do a player profile. She had to, my all-time favourite word, she wrote mummy. Sweet, but you know, it's fun. Another one, mummy's tired. That was mean. It's very sweet. There's lots of fun facts in here about netball, and what I just thought was hilarious is that I couldn't find Chickpea one afternoon last week. Looked for her for ages, and she was out in the backyard doing some of the drills from this book. She had the book down on the ground, and she kept running back. I couldn't work out what she was doing. She kept running back to the book to have a look at it, and then she'd go and do like some jumps and things, and then she'd throw a ball, and she was doing drills, which was just about the most adorable thing I'd ever seen, because neither of the girls have been particularly into practicing drills. I think this is fantastic. I reckon this is aimed at about Chickpea is 7, I reckon from 6 to maybe 10, so Pudster is 10, and she's really enjoying it as well. So it's actually taught me quite a lot as well, about player positions and so forth. I never know those, and you have to colour in where the players can go on the court, not a field, court. Told you I didn't know much. It's also got lots of interesting and, just nice things like your emotionables, checking in with your feelings before netball. How do you feel before netball? You might feel teary or cheeky or confused. And it's got stuff about training and nutrition, and then there's just some games. If you've got a little netballer in your house or a wannabe netballer, I really just highly recommend that. And if by chance you are going travelling anywhere, I'd highly recommend looking up to see if they have got any travel journals for your area as well. I know they've got Sydney and they've got Bali. I think there might be one more. Absolutely love these journals. Cannot recommend them highly enough. Okay, the next book I'm going to talk about I don't actually have in front of me. It's called Bob, and it's by Rebecca Steed and another author, Wendy, can't remember. I don't have it in front of me because I finished reading it, and then the grade 4 teacher requested it because I raved about it, and she's reading it to her class at the moment. So it was recommended to me by a really good friend of mine who lives in Tasmania, Ange Harris, who's a fantastic teacher. I worked with her a long time ago and I adore her. And she and I often have really different tastes in books, but we tend to agree on children's books. I'm a long-time fan of Rebecca Steed. She's an American author, has written a lot of middle grade fiction. I often do her books for my Year 6 Mother-Daughter Book Club. This one is a bit younger. It's called Bob, and it's about a little girl called Lily. And Lily lives in America, but she comes to Australia to visit her grandmother. And she hasn't been to see her grandmother since she was really, really young. And she remembers nothing about the first trip to Australia, except she bumped down the stairs on her bottom and that her grandmother had a really weird-looking chicken. So when she arrives in Australia for this second visit, now with a little baby sister who just seems to scream a lot, she asks the grandmother about, does she still have this weird chicken? And the grandmother has no memory or knowledge of this weird chicken, doesn't know what she's talking about. And it turns out when Lily goes up to her room in her grandma's house that night and opens the cupboard, she actually finds this hilarious or odd looking creature, which at first she thinks is a zombie, or he thinks he's a zombie, and his name is Bob. And I guess he's a bit like an imaginary friend in that no one else can see Bob, but he's actually not an imaginary friend. This book is essentially a mystery. Lily is helping Bob work out where he's come from and what he is. Bob has no memory of where he's come from, and it becomes apparent fairly early on that there's a couple of select people in the book that can see him, but not very many at all. I just adore Rebecca Steed's writing. It's incredibly lyrical and poetic. I think it'll make a really good read aloud. I read it in one evening. It's definitely about a grade 4 or 5 even 6-level book. It's absolutely beautiful. Really strong themes of mystery, but also friendship, loyalty, belonging, bit of magic, obviously, because after we discover that Bob isn't a zombie, we then look at other possibilities of what Bob is. It's just this just beautiful, lyrical, gorgeous story. I just think it's one of those books that you just want to hold on to and look at over and over again. A little bit Kate DiCamillo, in the sense that when I finish a Kate DiCamillo book, I just feel like, I don't even like hugs, but I just feel like a Kate DiCamillo book has got this soul about it that it just feels like you're being enveloped in a warm hug. And Rebecca Steed, I find quite the same. Her writing is warm, it's engaging, it's just beautiful, dreamy almost, really, really lovely. So highly recommend Bob. As I said, I don't have the book in front of me, but it is on my blog post for 5 on a Friday. And then the last book I'm going to talk about, again, it's an afternoon for talking about things I don't understand. I've talked a fair bit about sport this afternoon, which I don't really understand. Money, that would be the other thing I don't understand. I'm a teacher. Yep, don't understand a lot about money. Anyway, I know feels like everyone in Australia has read the Barefoot Investor's book by Scott Pape. I think that's his name. I haven't read that, but I have been quite beside myself about what to do about pocket money with my kids. I don't know whether I should be giving them pocket money. I don't do jobs charts because I just think, come on, we live in this house all together. We've just all got to pitch in and help. But, my 10-year-old is, clearly she needs some pocket money now. So I did buy this book on the recommendation of several of my friends who have read The Barefoot Investor. As I've said, I have not read The Barefoot Investor. I'm flat out organising my day-to-day finances, let alone reading a book about finance, quite frankly. But I absolutely loved this. I found this mind-blowing, so I probably should read the adult one. This one talks about the best ways to make your children financially literate. And I adore my parents, but we didn't really learn a lot of financial literacy from them. So Alison Rushby, that's what I'm waiting for. Barefoot Investor for Dummies. I just want each chapter summarized into one paragraph. I don't want to read the whole book. It just doesn't interest me. But this one I found really engaging. It was super easy to read. I don't think the production quality is great, and that's just me being picky as a librarian. I think they needed to spend a little bit more on graphic design, I have to say. Just looks a bit self-published, and I think the first one may have been, but I absolutely got so much out of it. So in this book, he recommends having a family dinner once a week where he talks about each week is a different theme. So you might talk about, you give your pocket money out each week, but then each week's got a different theme, and in one meal you blend up your credit card. I'm not going to do that. But, I understand that my children aren't going to have credit cards, and I've already said that to them. We're not having credit cards. So he's got all these ideas, and what I really like is his Smile, Save, Splurge jars, his jam jars. A lot of you will be familiar with his idea of the spend, save and splurge. I think that's fantastic. So in this thing, your kids are given 3 jobs a week, so they have to do normal family jobs. Like my kids have to help me empty the dishwasher and prepare meals and all that, but then they have 3 extra jobs, and if they do those 3 extra jobs each week, they get their pocket money. And so for my little one who's 7, it's fairly basic stuff, like she has to vacuum her room and her sister's room, and she has to put away the folding, and she has to clean out the lunch boxes. And for the older one, she has to vacuum the car, which thus far hasn't happened, and a few other things. So the jobs, he has suggestions, and the jobs are scaled up. Then if they don't do those jobs, well, they don't get their pocket money. If they do those jobs, they get their pocket money based on their age. So my 7-year-old gets $7 and my 10-year-old gets $10. And then they have to split it up between their 3 jam jars of Smile, Spend, Save. Save is something they're saving towards. It's not money that goes into the bank. That's birthday money and so forth. But it might be, I don't know, a new Our Generation doll or something. Splurge is tuck shop money or red licorice. My 10-year-old has a little bit of an obsession with red licorice. And then Smile is giving money to a charity. So my girls have chosen the Pajama Foundation, so they are donating money to the Pajama Foundation. That's the sort of basic premise of it. He then has a lot more meals where you go into other stuff with your kids. I just love it. I think it's fantastic. Super easy to read. I was so surprised. As I said, I hate anything to do with maths and money, but I found this super easy to read. And yes, Dorty does have, hi Dorty, I've just seen that you've come online. I was going to point out that I am sitting at my kitchen table and I have a really beautiful tablecloth on my table. It's one of those ones that's made out of that, plasticky stuff. What's that stuff called, Dorothy? Anyway, it's beautiful and I love it. And it's from a local business called Name My Stuff. And my shirt is from Jericho Road, which is also a local Brisbane business, and I love it. It's just gorgeous. It's got ice creams on it. And my earrings are also from a local Brisbane business called Ruby Olive Online. Mexican oilcloth. Thank you, Michelle Kimber Fanning. This is Mexican oilcloth, i.e. my children can spill their crap all over the tablecloth and I can just wipe it off. They even paint on this and it just all wipes off. I really like it and it's very pretty. Okay, that's me done for this afternoon. I hope you've got a great weekend coming up. We have got netball trials tomorrow, so best be getting onto that netball journal. Oh, we're going to see Harry Potter movie tomorrow night, accompanied by the Queensland Symphony Orchestra, and we are also going to Dumpling Day on Sunday. So we have got a really busy weekend, and I'm quite looking forward to it. And it will keep me off my computer and doing things, active things. All right, have a great weekend.